Hey everybody, it's time for another off-season recap video, and today we're going to be looking at the defending Western Conference champions, the Dallas Stars, who really haven't done a whole lot this offseason. I think they've spent a lot more of their time and focus on re-signing their own players rather than going out and getting players, but it's more about keeping the band together for Dallas, and with good reason. They made it to the Stanley Cup Finals last year, and they're definitely going to be a very interesting team to watch this coming season as well. So before we get into it, I just ask that you please hit that subscribe button and give the video a thumbs up. Both of those things help out so much and are greatly appreciated. But let's get into it here with the Dallas Stars. Again, they made it to the Stanley Cup Finals last year. And this offseason, they've spent a lot of their money re-signing players, more so than going out and trying to add to the team. Anton Khudobin is back. Andrej Sekera is back. Rupe Hintz, Radek Faksa. They've brought a lot of the pieces that they needed to re-sign back in. As far as additions and subtractions go, there's not a whole lot. As far as the only real notable name that they've brought in is Mark Pisik, and even Pisik's a depth guy who will probably be like a 6th or 7th defenseman and just kind of play a depth role. He can also play forward. The Florida Panthers had him playing forward at points last year, so maybe he could play on the wing on the fourth line, but he's the depth guy who might not even be an everyday regular in the lineup, and he's really the only guy that they've brought in Dallas. As far as subtractions go, the biggest one I think is Matthias Yanmark. He's now with the Chicago Blackhawks. Yanmark played a pretty solid third-line winger role with this team, and he was in Dallas for a while, was a good veteran guy, but he has moved on. They did not have the money to bring him back. Cory Perry moves on as well. He's still an unrestricted free agent, so I guess there's still, the chance that he could re-sign, but unlikely. And Roman Polak, depth defenseman, who opted out anyway of playing in the playoffs, and they went to the Stanley Cup Finals without him, so that's obviously not a big loss there. And his days in the NHL, I think, were done anyway. So they didn't lose a whole lot. Yanmark's kind of a loss, and Perry was very effective in the postseason. He obviously doesn't bring the offense that he once did. His big scoring days are behind him, but in a bottom six role, he was effective, and he goes to the net, he gets under the opponent's skin, and he can still chip in some goals here and there. So Perry is certainly a little bit of a depth loss, and Yanmark's a loss for sure. Polak not as much, but you don't see a whole lot of changes here happening with the Dallas Stars. And that's because they allocated much of their focus in their cap space, bring back the guys that they needed to bring back, like Radek Faksa and Anton Khudobin and Rupe Hintz and guys like that. So, it's been more about the re-signings this off-season with Dallas and more about keeping the band together, because this is a team that went to the finals last year and I think surprised a lot of people. I don't know about you, but I did not have the Dallas Stars going to the finals. I thought they were they're a playoff team, but I thought they'd be out in the first or second round at best, and that would be it. And, that'd be the end of what we saw from Dallas. And they really, really surprised me in the postseason with how well they played. But they got really, really hot. And, Anton Khudobin in goal just absolutely lit it up in the postseason. And their offense scored like a goal a game more than what they did in the regular season, and their offense absolutely exploded in the playoffs, scoring way more than they ever did in the regular season. And then, obviously that's great, and they got really hot, and it led them all the way to the Stanley Cup Finals. Unfortunately, they fell to Tampa Bay, but I wonder if that's repeatable. And I think this is going to be a really interesting team next season, because it's going to be a very similar Dallas Stars team. There's not a lot of changes happening there. So they're bringing back largely the same team that they had last year. And in the regular season last year, they were a third-place team in the Central Division, and they really struggled offensively. They're one of the best defensive teams in the league. They don't give up anything really defensively. There's not a lot of goals against to be had. but they struggled offensively in the regular season. Now came playoff time, that completely went out the window, and they almost kind of reversed. And while Hudobin played outstanding, their goals against per game, went up significantly higher in the playoffs than it was in the regular season. But their goals per game went up even more so, and they just started scoring like they were the freaking Maple Leafs or the Oilers all of a sudden. And it was incredible to watch. But I just wonder if that is repeatable, because how many times have we seen a team get hot for a for a postseason and just get hot in the playoffs and go on this big run, but they ended up overachieving? And I think Dallas, to an extent, overachieved in the playoffs last year. And I just wonder if can they be that level team for a full regular season and a full postseason? It's going to be a shortened regular season, but you know what I mean. Like, over the course of a whole season in playoffs, can they be that team? Or, did they just happen to get hot at the right time and go on a big run, but not going to be able to pull that off again? What are the chances of them getting hot like that again? Again, it's a big question, and they're bringing back a lot of the same team. There certainly should be a playoff team. I don't think there's any real doubt about that. The Dallas Stars should be a playoff team, but I just don't know if they're true cup contenders again next season. I mean, you can't say that they're not, because no one's knocked them off of that pedestal yet. But I also wouldn't be surprised if they lost in the first round in the postseason next year. Like, that wouldn't surprise me. But I also wouldn't be surprised if they made it back to the Cup Finals. Like, there's so many different ways that this season could go with Dallas, and they're kind of all over the place, and you just don't really know what you're going to get. And you're not going to know what you're going to get until you see them on the ice. And I certainly have some questions, but they proved me completely wrong last year. So I don't really think that it's impossible for them to do that again, obviously. But at the same time, there are questions here with Dallas, and scoring. Can they score enough is certainly one of them. And is Hudobin going to be the level of goaltender that he was last year again? That was the best he's ever played in his life. Can he repeat that? It's going to be fun to watch, and Dallas is usually a fun team to follow. And they've been one of those teams over the past couple of years that you just never really know what you're going to get. Obviously, you got the Dallas Stars at their absolute best in the playoffs last year. Can you get that this coming season, or are they going to revert back to maybe being a little disappointing? Or you just don't know with this team. I certainly expect them to make the playoffs, but once they get into the playoffs, I have no idea what they're going to do. Are they going to be out in the first round, or are they going to be back to the Stanley Cup Finals? You just have no idea with this team. And it's virtually almost the same team coming back, so it's going to be really fun to see what they're capable of. And, they've got some young players that have another year of experience, another year of development, so, those guys might improve. They've got some big injuries, though, with Tyler Seguin and Ben Bishop expected to miss most of this season because of surgeries. They would be back in time for the playoffs, but those are two big losses for the regular season, obviously. So Dallas is just an interesting team, and they're such a question mark in so many ways, and I just don't know what to expect, because they could go like any which way. They could be a first place team, they could be a fourth place team, they could be a team that gets out in the first round of the playoffs, they could be a team that goes all the way back to the Cup Finals. You just have no idea what Dallas is going to do, and that makes it really, really fun and really fun to watch. But again, they haven't done a whole lot this offseason. They're bringing back largely the same team, and it's going to be, I think, a very similar season in 2020-2021 as to what we saw in 2019-2020 with the Dallas Stars. And we'll just see if they're able to carry that momentum over or not this coming year. But that's it for Dallas. Like, comment, share, subscribe, follow on social media. All those links are down in the description. If you'd like to further support the channel, the links to our Patreon, merchandise store, and donation link are in the description as well. Keep spreading the word about this channel. Let's keep this thing growing. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll talk to you guys soon.